I have something called it's either restless leg syndrome or restless leg pains. They're kind of delusional on what they understand about that. But all I know is this issue is from the military. I have disability for my legs. I had surgery in the military. I have neuropathy in my toes. I have pain in my legs, and I was trying to get Dr. Sheplin to send me to a specialist, which is, as a primary care doctor, it's her job to send me to a specialist. The VA's website says that the VA can help you, send you where you need to go to get the evidence you need to support your disability claims. So I told her that the Ropanol that they were given for restless leg syndrome never worked, and I wanted to try something different or see a doctor, find out if this issue in my lower back that I'm fairly certain it's from the military, because I'm 48 now and I'm starting to understand things a little bit better about the body, because I'm just an inquisitive person and I think about things and I actually research them and I don't just make stuff up. So she calls me at my home and talking to me like I'm her property, and tells me that there are no other medications. Ropanol's the only thing. I know what I'm talking about, right? So then I complain. And what the VA does is they call us and they tell us directly to ourselves that, oh yeah, veterans don't always match up with every doctor. So they just keep shuffling us around to different doctors. So I get assigned to a Dr. Jason Landry, and he immediately starts trying to do the exact same thing to me. And I explained to him that the VA sent me to him, and it's his job to send me to these specialists. And he wasn't going to do it, and then I finally convinced him that he should. So I go to see a neurologist that the VA sends me to, and he tells me Dr. Sheplin doesn't know what she's talking about, because I told him. And then he starts trying me out on different things, and then gabapentin, it's not a perfect solution, but it does kind of help. So that's why I'm taking gabapentin now. He said that what is really wrong with me is something called myoclonus in my lower back, and everything I have been experiencing in my legs since the military is the result of that. He even signed something to that effect, and the VA still denied it. My military medical records say can't sleep. The VA has been prescribing me medications for sleeping for years, but saying that it's mental illness and I'm doing drugs and this is not service connected is what they keep saying. And then I keep getting denied. Right?
Gotcha. Okay, so for seeing an outside doctor or issues that you're having with the referral, has anyone ever told you about the patient advocate that's attached to your VA?
So
that can look into that.
So I contacted.
That referral?
Okay, so I want you to understand something. I've been in contact with everybody at the VA over here, and pretty much every state I've been in, trying to get help with this. So the patient advocates told me that the inquiry came down and they're working directly with Denver to resolve my issues. And all it ever did was resulted in the cover-up becoming deeper and deeper and deeper. And then when I kept pushing the issue, mysteriously the patient advocates had new jobs in the VA. And they were replaced with somebody else. Right? The musical chair of VA employees never ends because they know all they have to do is keep switching people on you. Then you can't prove anything. I have an email from Dr. Erickson who was told to help me get my disability, which she still hasn't. I'm sorry.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah, I mean, like, she's literally, she's the ringleader. Dr. Perkowski called me on the day before Thanksgiving, on Thanksgiving. I was already feeling kind of crappy because I didn't have my family anymore. And he tells me that he's going to write the Nexus letter, and I can go pick it up next week at the VA. So I go to the VA next week, and they said, well, he sent this to us on the exact same day he called you, right? So I get a copy of it, and it is the most ridiculous jumble of words I've ever seen. He signed it, he put his medical information on it, and all it says is the veteran said this, the veteran said that, he was strip searched, he was abused by the VA, and it only had a couple of sentences, and that was it. Well, that does not at all do anything. That is a useless piece of paper. So now I have a recording on the internet of him, and then I have that document posted for everybody to see. And every day I'm going to go on social media until they tell me I can't post anymore, and I'm going to spread this stuff. And then, like last night, Facebook said, okay, you reached your limit for commenting today. And then so I posted on my feed, thank you for your help today, Facebook. I'll be back tomorrow. Well, it's tomorrow. Well, it was actually tomorrow when I wrote that, but because I don't sleep.
Mm-hmm. Okay, gotcha. Well, there's another thing that I can offer you.
Okay.
It's basically connecting you with your social worker. It's completely up to you if you want to accept
Okay,
that or not.
so I've already done that. I've already done that. And the reason I did that...
You've already done that?
Okay, I'm going to explain that situation to you. So, I'm disabled. I have no intention of harming myself or ending my own life, but I have cats, and I realize that if something were to happen to me, nobody would know, right? Until my mail started stacking up in my mailbox, the mail lady, until then, wouldn't, when it looks like a problem, then she'll do that. And I intend to go out there eventually and talk to her and say, look, if you start stacking up mail here for a few days and I don't get it, call somebody to check on me, right? Well, I asked the VA if I could have somebody contact me, every couple of weeks, once a month, whatever, to make sure that nothing happened to me, because if I die, nobody would know, right? So that
you don't have any other supports in your life, any other...
My family disowned me.
Family, anything else?
My family disowned me.
You said what, your family?
They disowned me. That's why I left Louisiana. I can't... Actually, you know what?
That was based on your medication you were taking, you were saying?
It was partially the medication. It was partially the gaslighting from the VA, and it was also partially this Republican agenda. So, like I said, they're all watching Fox News 24/7, and their Facebook feeds and social media feeds only feed them things that will make those companies profit. So then they only funnel things to them that support their psychology. So they're being psychologically manipulated. And because of that, in addition to everything else that's happened, they justified doing what they did to me. Now, my sister, Kimberly Baudon Flanders, was my emergency contact that called the doctor at the Denver VA and told them they were making a mistake. I had to hear her say she didn't care about me anymore. Do you have any... my sister and I were close growing up, and that's why she was my medical contact, emergency contact. And I'm sorry, but that will mess somebody up a little bit. And it's all of those people's fault, right? I'm not saying I'm a saint, but the cards were stacked against me. And unfortunately, they used that opportunity to try to rob me of several $1,000s, which then caused me to have to sue them to get my money back, and which I did. I accomplished. I had to do it in a way that I knew they would settle, because my brother-in-law kept saying that I was on his property I'm on his property, and I know the property's in my sister's name. He's, well, I'm her husband, and so I find a law in Louisiana that says marriage alone does not automatically transfer a spouse's property into the other spouse's. So I go to the county records and I get records from them, and it's sure enough, it says Kimberly Baudon Pommier, because that was her ex-husband's last name. So then I mailed that to them, and then they keep trying to use a lower court to force me to do what they wanted me to do, and I'm like, I'm in the big court. Any attempts to circumnavigate that, I'm pretty sure the law is going to have a problem with this, right? A judge will probably throw the book at you for trying to, take the justice out of their hands. So I had to sue them, and I won. And the gentleman, the notary of the public, I had meet us. I went in and I signed the paperwork, and he notarized it. Then I left, and then my family went in there and did their part. And he came out and he goes, "Man, you could cut the chin-chin in that room with a knife." And then I explained to him exactly what they did to me. And he couldn't believe it. So obviously they wouldn't have paid me several $1,000s if they didn't really owe it. So it's safe to assume at this particular point that I don't have a family anymore, ever. So that's the VA's fault, in part. So they need to take responsibility for that as well. You know what? Social media and the media and the politicians are also at fault. And now you hear these hearings on all these children who were paired with sex offenders, and these politicians are waving their fingers at the technology companies, and they're saying, "Oh, we need to take a look at ourselves," but then they're still blaming everybody else for their hijinks, right? Now, if you take a young man like Mark Zuckerberg, who has no life experience, he dropped out of college because he was intelligent. He was helping somebody work on Facebook, and then he stole it from them, which is why he lost the lawsuit. And he has no ethics whatsoever. He just stole a $1 billion idea from somebody that he was hired to help develop. And do you think that mindset went away immediately? I mean, I don't, at this particular point in time, he may have evolved enough and grown up and learned some things, especially now that he's married and has a kid. It's my understanding, I wouldn't know because I lost my opportunity to do that, but it's my understanding that when someone has a kid, their entire perspective changes, right? They understand things a little differently, and they want to be, hopefully, a part of the solution in the world for their children and not the problem. But unfortunately, the damage is done. Years after I reported that to the government, there's a documentary on Netflix. It's called The Social Dilemma. And these are all people who worked in that technology field, trying everything they could think of to warn us about it, which I tried to do already and failed because you say stuff like that and you're a conspiracy nut, right? Nobody ever checks to find out if you actually worked in engineering, you program, you understand that kind of stuff. They're going to come to conclusions like that, right? So I don't understand how people who have spent 8 years in college to become doctors, who have had to take classes in doing research and medical endeavors are research-based, right? You need to look at the symptoms and what the patient's telling you, and then try to come up with something that helps them. And it's called a practice because it's not called fixing. It's not called fixing because they can't just fix you, right? But